Wake up in the morning, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I wanna move closer, but I don't control it. I know I've been trying, the door isn't open. I know it sound funny, but really though, in the beginning we really close. Now we just cruising up on the coast. Don't wanna lose you, I really don't. My God, I'm working so hard. I let my guards down and I'm feeling so far. You won't cut me off and I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to know you more. Please, I honestly say I'm mature. It ain't my decision, it's yours. But I will persuade with my all, cause I'm ready to run to your arms. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. I go back and forth when I feel your presence. I'm above the world. There isn't much better, but then I fall levels and levels below it. Don't know where I'm going, don't know where I'm holding. I say I gave up, but I know I didn't. It's just my frustration, I'm only human. I act like I know what I'm really doing. As long as it's you that I'm really choosing. I will never give up, no, I wanna do it your way. You're the king of the world, only wanna do what you say. I know that it's possible to give back my heart to you. Do it that you choose. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. I know that you love me, I really do. Just wanna do right by you till it's through. Please don't ignore me, please just adore me. Wanna be closer to you. I just wanna make you happy. A shining light looking right at me. I give to you gladly, that's my reaction. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored.
Okay.
Welcome to Parents and Pennies, where family meets financing and every dollar counts. Brought to you by MITM Business Consultants. Join your hosts, Art Abrahamian, with over 12 years of experience in finance, banking, and business advising, and Roy Rosales, a father of two and coach to many, who has an extensive background in real estate. These two family men are here for you, bringing real stories, practical tips, and financial wisdom every week to keep your family thriving. They'll help you secure your family's financial future through simple, memorable financial adjustments that will help you achieve your financial goals. Because when it comes to family and finances, it's not about having more, it's about making the most of what you have. Here's Art and Roy.
What's going on, everybody? Episode 10, we in the house. We have a very special guest with us today, but before we get started on that, we got to do our usual. Roy, what's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How are you doing today?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I hope everybody had a good weekend. And before we get into episode 10, I want to introduce a very special guest. We are introduced to Nareg Kitsinian from Kitsinian Law Firm. We're happy to have him here. You know, Roy and I were talking, and we're like, hey, man, we want somebody to talk about the people and what's going on in the world of the hectic environment of California. And we thought nobody better than Nareg to come out. So we're fortunate to have him here. Nareg, thank you for coming out, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Art, Roy, thank you so much for the invitation. Happy to be here with you guys. So my name is Nareg Kitsinian. I'm the owner of Kitsinian Law Firm. I've been practicing law for approximately 20 years now, and my practice specializes on personal injury matters, property damage cases, and whenever a natural disaster strikes, we utilize our skills in dealing with and fighting with insurance companies and utility companies, and we help the survivors of natural disasters like we are now with the Los Angeles wildfire cases.
Yeah, and that's a big one, because that probably one of the most devastating things in the history of California in terms of wildfires. I mean, next to that one big earthquake, I don't think, right? There's nothing bigger than that.
In terms of urban damage to an urban area,
Yeah.
this is the largest in the United States history.
Wow.
Wow.
Do we have, like, do you know any of the figures, like how much damage they projected to be up to now?
It's in the billions and billions. I mean, we're talking about something like 15 to 16,000 structures
Wow.
that have been destroyed. Almost 20 people died. We're lucky that the fatality count, I mean, the loss of life is staggering, is terrible, of course, but given the widespread damage and the fires, 17 people died. And, you know, there are so many people displaced from the wildfires. We are constantly dealing with our clients that are displaced. They're in hotels and motels throughout the Los Angeles County, and they've lost everything.
Yeah.
It's really tragic. They're thankful and blessed to be alive, but they have lost everything.
Yeah.
People lost their homes that they grew up in. I represent people that, you know, their elderly parents were living in the home that they raised all of their children in for 60 years, and it's all gone now.
Yeah. I bet, man, that's crazy, because when you think about, like, nobody's really ready for a disaster, right? Like the other day, my wife is always like, oh, because she tries to be a go bag ready person like me, because I have food and you know, things to protect the family and make sure it's all ready to go, that in case disaster strikes. But the other day she's like, oh, you know, I'm really glad you're this way and that way. And I was like, she's like, I feel like I'm becoming better at that too. And then I go to move her car and there's this much gas left in it. And I'm like, hey, misprepared.
Yeah.
You have no gas in your tank. She's like, well, it's not a big deal. I go, it is a big deal, because if disaster strikes, what, are you going to go wait in line to go get gas? Or you think 40 miles is going to get you away from the disaster zone? So it's like, you know, when we talk about preparation for disasters, I think a lot of people think that they're prepared for something like this, and then it happens, and you're just like, oh, so I wasn't prepared for this at all. And you know, we don't know how long until these structures are rebuilt. That's kind of the big conversation everybody seems to be having, is like, because insurance in California, and none of us here are insurance reps, but we all are homeowners, family men, and we know what dealing with insurance is like. And it's like, a lot of these insurance companies, how soon are they going to pay? How willing are they going to be to pay? And then now we're like, okay, so I lost my family home. I lost all my childhood memories. I lost all these things. And then it's like, I might not have a house for what, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Relocating, because at the end of the day, those policies, when you write those or when you get those policies, they tell you, well, we'll cover you up to X dollar amount during reconstruction, right? Well, when everybody starts buying, the cost of the product immediately goes up due to supply and demand costs. So it's like, all right, so how do we recoup? And, you know, that's why we brought Nareg here today to talk to us about that, because I'm sure that's probably the biggest fight that you're going to be dealing with on top of it, right?
Well, what is the biggest fight right now?
Yeah, I guess in your industry, what is the big fight right now?
And if you can speak closer to the mic, that way it can capture you a little bit clearer.
So you raised some really good points. Let's just step back for a moment, talking about prevention and what people can do. Some some nuts and bolts that everybody ought to be doing
Yeah.
to protect their family's most important asset, which is their home. And like you said, we all know what it is to deal with insurance companies and the policies. You get that annual renewal, right? And what are you going to do? You got to make sure, first of all, that your property address is up to date. If you've moved, you have to let your insurance company know. You got to put it in writing, in an email. I represent people who moved. They told their agent. The agent never did it. And now we have a bad faith case and no coverage for them because they moved. And even though they're paying for the policy, okay?
Wow.
The insurance company is not there to help you.
Yeah.
They're looking for ways to disqualify you from being paid for their coverage terms.
Right.
So make sure your address is correct. Take a look at.
That's
Yeah.
Go,
These things
go.
happen all day
Yeah,
long.
yeah,
Believe
yeah.
me. Take a look at what your coverage aid dwelling covers. Okay. In my opinion, almost everybody is underinsured on their insurance policy.
Sure.
Why is that? Because you wrote that policy a few years ago. The appraisal was done then, and no agent is coming back to you annually and saying, "Hey, Art, you know what? Why don't we get a contractor's
Right.
estimate and get an accurate replacement cost to update your insurance policy?"
Right.
Nobody ever does that. They leave that on you. So if it's been some time since you've actually had your policy, get a contractor's estimate, talk to your agent, up that amount, because when the time comes that you need that policy to pay, it's not going to be enough to cover you, and you're going to be out of pocket, especially if you have a mortgage. You're going to be upside down, and you're going
Yeah.
to be holding a bag full of debt with no property to look at or to house you in.
That's big.
Yeah. Speaking of personal property contents, right? Like you have, it's everything in your house. If you flip your house upside down, whatever falls, that's considered your contents. How do you recover that? Most of my clients are struggling with that because I represent a lot of people who lost their homes in the Eaton fires, okay, in Pasadena, Altadena. And even though we are helping them, by the way, and we're not charging people. We are helping them get paid on their total loss coverage items because we just feel like that's the right thing to do to begin with.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll earn our fee when we go after the utility Edison. But we're not going to take somebody's property. We're going to help them recover. And we're actually facilitating those claims for them because it's just a lot for people to deal with. So one of the things that they're contending with is, how do I recover my contents? And this is a really annoying thing for people to deal with because now they have to go and create an inventory list
Sure.
to supply the
Right.
insurance company in order to get the contents amount. And it's a struggle for people. A lot of people have PTSD. They have memory issues. And so what I like to tell people, and I don't know how realistic it is, but once a year, go through each room in your house and just take a picture. Let it load up to the cloud. That way you've got something that
Yeah,
you can
proof.
refer back to and just do like an inventory in a soft way like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like, it's funny that you mentioned that. There's two things that you said that I really want to touch base on. But, like, for the inventory, since we're talking about the inventory thing, it's like that I deal with a lot when my business clients end up having some sort of insurance claim. And I sit down with them and I'm like, down to the nuts, down to the bolts, because that cost the company something. And then they go from having an estimate appraisal of what they lost of like 10 grand to 40 grand because they don't think about those costs. But it's like, it's true, you know, even when you think about like insuring jewelry, if you're not down to the like, oh, 5-angled diamond with this, then they'll be like, oh, that's not the piece you told us about. This is a whole different piece. So it's like, I think that's a really big takeaway for anybody listening, where it's like taking pictures of the house. I'm actually going to start doing that now that you're saying that. But before you chime in, Roy, there's one thing he said that I really want to. He said he's helping people and he takes a cut at, you know, against the utility, but he's not taking their home. So that leads me to ask the next question. Are the other attorneys out there who are trying to, quote unquote, I'm going to put the camera on me, help people? Are they really taking people's homes from them?
Okay, so they're not taking people's homes, but like, we're contingency fee lawyers.
Sure.
And so we each get to decide how we run our business. There are no laws governing our percentages. So whatever contingency fee percentage a lawyer chooses to put out there, that's basically his fee, right? We take a fee at the successful conclusion of the case. In my instance, at my law firm, we've decided to be helpful to people because we fully expect, right? I mean, it may not be timely because insurance companies drag their feet
of course.
and make people go through hurdles. But if you've lost your home and if your policy is correct in terms of the address and it hasn't lapsed, then by all accounts, the insurance company should be paying you. Some people, however, are being approached whenever there's a natural disaster. You know, you get out-of-state law firms that come in and they want to take up inventory. So they're doing all the marketing. They're putting scare tactics out there into people. And so people will pay in order to feel like they've got protection. So yeah, some people are charging in order to help them recover on the total loss. That's their right to do. I won't speak on it.
Sure.
I could just tell you that at my law firm, we are not charging for that service. But you know, we are not a nonprofit organization.
No, of course.
We're here to also pay our own bills. And so what we are doing is we're going to earn our fee by going after the entity that caused the fires, and that's Edison. And that's something I have experience doing. I've sued them before, and we filed our lawsuit in the Eaton fires already, and that's where I'll earn my fee.
Yeah, and then he's right. You don't work for free.
No.
You don't work for free.
No, but the thing about allowing the door to open to come and get a consultation, come and get educated, get informed how to plan it out. That's what you're allowing the people, the community to reach out to you. And that's crazy because that's how we roll in our business. You know, that's how I was able to get a hold of Art, because he allowed me to come in without even charging me, but just to have that consultation to bring me information that I'm not aware of. Same way when I do a buyer's or listing consultations, I don't charge. I want to make sure I'm disclosing everything to you and what are you going to say yes to.
Right. You're providing an important service and you're educating people. And you can imagine that that duty is magnified, at least in responsible owners' heads, right? Like, because in professionals' heads, because those people are now in real need. They are stuck in it. They are displaced. They're in a hotel or a motel. They've lost everything. And now they have an insurance company asking them for critical information in order to get paid on their policy. And they need help because most people don't know how to read an insurance policy. They don't know what their coverages are. They don't know what their options are. They don't know what the future holds for them. And so we step in and we provide that advice to them. We even do the communications back and forth with the insurance company in order to take some of that pressure off of those victims of the wildfires. I mean, I represent a family that their family lost 5 homes in the Altadena fires.
Wow.
Okay. If you can imagine that they have indicated from the insurance company that one person is going to be helpful to them in answering all the questions. So if you've got to answer all the questions for all of these properties, you're just not going to make it through correctly. Yeah. You need help and you need guidance, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And one or the other, going back to circling back to what you said about, you know, basically getting a contractor, an appraiser, or evaluating the property, you know, every year. Like, don't just keep the same one or the same thing for 2 or 3 or 4 years. When
I didn't even know you could do that, honestly.
I didn't know that either.
Until he said that. That's not something I would have even have guessed.
So for me, that is so much value, because right now in my head, I can't wait to text my wife. We need to do this, we need to do this, and we need to do this. Like, just the evaluation and taking pictures of the inside, everything inside the property, you know, disclosing what we have, although, you know, everything like that.
Take a look at your contents coverages as well. Sometimes it could be really high compared to the dwelling. And, you know, if you don't need $1 million of coverage for your contents, talk to your agent. Yeah. See if you could reduce that and put that amount towards your dwelling.
Yeah, that makes sense. Man.
Dude, that's
Gems,
what I'm saying.
baby.
Like,
Gems.
That's why Parents and Pennies is more than just that. We're bringing in someone that is educating us on something that we don't really think about. And you are genuinely helping the community, the people in loss right now. That is, again, they're trauma right now. They're in trauma. They don't know yet, and you're allowing at least some type of a blessing for them to be like, okay, at least I have someone in my back, in my corner, that is gonna help me through this. Yeah, and I don't feel alone. That's so big.
I think when you look at this as a whole thing, it's like the family that lost 5 homes. They lost 5 homes, which means they lost 5 homes plus all their things, memories. So now on top of that, they have to fight an insurance company 5 separate times because it's 5 separate, it's 5 separate instances. So it's going to require, 5 adjusters, right?
5 claims, 5 adjusters.
5 claims, 5 adjusters. This family's already trying to deal with losing everything, and then now they got to deal with 5. Like, I don't know about you. They say time is money, and in this particular case, time is mental health, not just money. It's like I'm already trying to figure out what to do with my life, after losing everything, and now I got to deal with 5 companies that don't want to pay, 5 claims that don't want to pay, and 5 adjusters who are like, well, you see what happened here. It's because your sink was running too long, and that's why this fire happened in this house. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I know somebody, he's a contractor, who just had his floors flooded. There was a pipe that bursted. Well, it wasn't a pipe that bursted. It was the contractors who fixed the home before he purchased the home, nicked the pipe with a screw, and it got to the point of back pressure where the pipe had finally exploded. Well, before he called the professionals and this, he's like, I'm going to call my insurance company because he cut the wall open. He's like, I found it. I already did all the hard work because I'm a licensed contractor. Here's the hard work. And the insurance company adjuster sent somebody out who came and pressed on the wood. And he's like, this wood's wetter than this issue. So this was a pre-existing issue. He's like, right, but how was I supposed to, even if it was a pre-existing issue, how was I supposed to know if it was on the inside?
Yeah.
I don't have x-ray vision. I'm not Superman. And they denied his claim because of that. And every person that I sent out to do a water damage adjustment or like claim, every single person did a video walk through the home and was like, wherever these notes that these other adjusters put, they're inconsistent, they're inaccurate. My water line goes up to all the way past this point, and the whole floors need to be redone. So pretty much got declined on the coverage because the insurance was trying to say that it was a pre-existing condition and he should have known about it. But it's inside the walls.
Yeah.
And he's paying, you pay every month. You hope that, hey, I should never get to use you, but when I do, you got my back, right? And then they go, oh, buddy, I don't have your back like you think I have your back.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example. So in the Eaton fires, we represent a family who has a swimming pool. Just, houses around her burned. The entire swimming pool was black, full of soot and ash. And they had just replaced their hardware, replastered the entire pool. And when the insurance adjuster came, it was State Farm, I believe, I was there, and we told them that there's a priority for getting the pool rectified. Do we have your permission to drain the pool because we've been advised that it needs to be acid washed in order to be properly cleaned? He says yes. We go ahead and do it. And then we let him know it's been drained. And guess what? We need to change the plaster because the pebbles are now all discolored from the ash. And this guy goes ahead and starts to refute the fact that he told me in front of the homeowner that we could drain the pool.
Wow.
And so it just goes to show you that even with everybody around you, witnesses, they will do everything necessary to stop a claim from proceeding forward if it benefits them. And that's what they do. That's what they do.
Wow. It's funny he says State Farm, and F you, State Farm, I'm talking to you directly. I got kicked out of their policy for being a subpar homeowner, and I go, why did I just lose my coverage? This was last year and a half. I get a letter that says you've been removed because you're a subpar homeowner. I'm sitting here going, what the hell are you guys talking about? I maintenance my house. I renovate it. I keep it clean. I have all these people coming. I have gardeners 4 times a month. I have this, I have that. So I'm like, call my agent. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. They just canceled the policy and said you're a subpar. Okay, why? Yeah. What is about what I did is subpar? And then I get a note from them saying the tree in my front yard is overhanging on the roof. So I start laughing. I go outside. I have tree trimmers come every 6 months to make sure the hedge on the tree is fine. I come out. There's like from this wall all the way to that wall, space between the tree. And I go, send me the photo that the insurance rep has, because they're like, we're not even going to talk about the case, or we're not even going to consider reasserting you in there. And I'm like, why? So they send me the photo. You want to know what this photo was that they used to determine I'm a subpar homeowner? An Google satellite image from like 6 years ago, before I even owned the home or whatever, with an overhead view. It's like, it's a big ass tree. When you go over it, of course, at the angle, it's going to look like if I'm from this side, it's going to look like it's over it.
Yeah.
But then when I took a picture of the actual, like, in front of it, they're like, yeah, sorry, we see your photo, but we're not going to adjust it. I said, send somebody out to look at it. So you know what I did in the last 3 weeks? I cut all the trees in my house. My wife's like, why are we cutting the trees? I said, because we don't need another excuse as to why we're a subpar homeowner. Even my insurance broker's like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, I don't know. It's just them trying to get out of the California market. They look for any excuse, any reason, anything to get out. So it's like, yeah, no, I believe that State Farm would do that for sure.
See,
This is what we deal with day in, day out. Every contingency fee lawyer like myself battles with insurance companies, whether it's dealing with car accidents, slip and falls, or suing a corporation for causing an incident like these wildfires. So insurance is a very important part of our society, but, unfortunately, they don't act in your interests.
So in good faith, right? That's all what we do here, and I believe, wholeheartedly about that. And if someone gets into an accident, right now, and they have no injuries, but it was a company car that hits them, right? What should they do? What would you advise them to do?
So the first moment you're involved in a car accident, what you really should do is call an attorney. Call an attorney that's reputable in your community, preferably somebody that you know or somebody that has worked with them, and get on the phone with them. Tell them what happened, and let them advise you. If you had called me in that moment, I would tell you, look, first of all, go to the emergency room, get evaluated. Whoever was in the car needs to be seen by a doctor, and you want to document what happened in that medical record. After that, we would open an insurance claim for you and let everybody everybody on notice about the claim. Your insurance, in case the other guy doesn't have insurance, so then we'd be relying on your underinsured or uninsured motorist policy. And then we'd also let that company car's insurance know about the claim, putting them on notice about your potential injuries and property damage. And then at that point, we will monitor you. And if you tell me that you're in pain, then we would advise you to go seek further care, such as seeing another doctor or a chiropractor or getting pain medicine involved in order to alleviate your pains. But look, you got to do all these things within a timely fashion. Insurance companies, like we were just talking about, are always looking to deny your claim or look for ways to try to deny it. And waiting a long period of time can do that. So
it's like, why'd you wait it?
Why'd you wait? Right. You got 2 years in the state of California to bring a claim for personal injuries. So you want to make sure you don't wait that long. You need to start getting treatment right away. Otherwise, they're going to claim that you really didn't have any pain and you waited, and this is really a claim you're pursuing for other reasons except for the pain that you're experiencing.
Dang. That's, see, who are the most important people in your life? One of them should be an attorney.
We just got a question in the chat. It says, questions for Nareg. Is there a good website besides your basic Google search to find reputable lawyers/attorneys?
Nice question. Just write
Like,
down my number.
how do you find a reputable? I mean, that's a great question. So you said find a reputable one. How do you know who's reputable and who's not?
Can you represent us here? Yes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I could represent anybody in the state of California. Look, I appreciate the question from the website. You can look to entities that represent people such as the Consumer Attorneys Association of Los Angeles. That's called CALA. That's the plaintiffs' bar organization in Los Angeles. And they are the largest group of plaintiffs' lawyers in Los Angeles and, in fact, the country. So that's one place where you can start. You can look at organizations that are important to society and law, making sure that they are members of those organizations. But honestly, the best way for you to find the right lawyer for you is to talk to people who have had a good outcome with an attorney, because nothing can beat a personal referral for an attorney. No bus bench ad or billboard will ever replace that kind of
trust
suggestion to you and trust. That's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you being here, it's already building the trust for me personally. So because you took the time to really come and educate us, and for me, when someone takes their time for me and to educate me, that's someone that I'm gonna be loyal to.
I appreciate that.
So for me, you have me as a client from here on out. I'm gonna be the one referring you. So I'm gonna get your information, because again, you're just giving me just these little couple of things that I was not aware. You're saving me thousands of dollars and stress, because I'm like thinking right now, it's like, we need to get an evaluator at the plant, bro. Like, they need to evaluate the house now, because if that something does happen, I don't want them telling me, oh no, it's worth 200.
That's the next big thing, right? That earthquake. We're still looming that big earthquake, and it's like, what do you know, it's getting ready for that because we don't, every year they say it's this year. I feel like I've been hearing that since I was in high school, freaking 15, 16 years ago. Where
We had an earthquake yesterday.
I didn't even know that. You guys, we had
late
an
last
earthquake?
night in Burbank, near my home. I got all the text messages from my family members, and it's a normal thing. We all have bills to pay, right? But when you don't have an earthquake, it's not top of priority for most people, and you get those earthquake insurance bills, and you're like, gosh, I've been paying this for 5 years. Let me try to save some money this year and not do it. And then guess what? An earthquake hits and you need it. So you got to be careful about these situations. I'm not telling you what's right for you and what's wrong for you.
Right.
It's a normal thing to try to make business decisions on these insurance policies. Make sure you're up to date on them so that they don't lapse.
So as far as earthquake insurance, how much more or less would you be able to know, like roughly how, that's an investment, by the way, not you're not spending money. That's an investment. You're literally
Protecting your home.
Your home.
That's an investment
So
into your home.
how
for
much
sure.
normally that cost a year? Do you know by any chance?
I couldn't speak to costs on insurance policies because I'm not an insurance agent, but
We'll
they
get
could
an
be
insurance
they
guy,
could be
yeah.
sizable.
Okay.
I really don't know the percentages.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What we'll do is we'll get on the next one. We'll bring an insurance guy out to talk to us because I think this is a great podcast, and I think using this to segue into the actual insurances. Where
One thing to note is
And I have someone for that, by the
there's a California Earthquake Commission basically that provides insurance because most insurance policies don't even want to provide earthquake insurance anymore.
Yeah.
So just like fire insurance policies, there's the FAIR plan where you unfortunately have to go to if the insurance company leaves your area. There's also the Earthquake Authority that also provides coverage.
Wow. I got some questions. So
This is tripping, man.
I know this is great.
trip,
This is
man.
a lot.
Why couldn't you come and be in my life 2 years ago? You know what I mean? Like, damn. All right,
know,
it is what it is. God is good.
That's right. That's great. What should wildfire victims watch out for when choosing an attorney?
All right. So that's a really important question. What you want to find in an attorney is somebody who has handled a wildfire case in the past and also sued the entity that you're involved in. So in the case of the Eaton fire, where we are all suing Edison for starting the fire, and ample evidence shows that.
What do you mean they? I'm sorry to cut off. What do you mean they started?
Yeah,
the
you're
fire?
right. I fast forwarded here, but for Altadena and Pasadena, there was a tower that basically caught fire, and that is what is believed to have started the fires in Altadena and Pasadena that destroyed thousands and thousands of structures.
Wow.
That's right.
Did
So
not know that.
Yeah, because they don't really talk about these things. You're not getting any of this on the news. You're not getting this anywhere. This is like, I wish.
Wow.
It's the first time I heard that too.
same for the fire that the Hearst fire that started in Sylmar. I mean, there's videos. There's people took cell phone videos. There are Ring cameras that
Oh, the power lines?
that actually show the fires beginning in the mountains before it was reported anywhere else. There's footage of this stuff out there, and it's all legitimate. In this day and age, you can't get away with anything without it being captured on
No,
video.
that's
That is
And
true.
that holds
is
true
true.
for the case against Edison too. So we sued Edison. We're suing them again. And so what you want to look for, if you're a victim of the wildfire, you lost or you have property damage, the fact is that overnight, lots of attorneys began to claim that they can handle your wildfire case and they can sue Edison. But the truth of the matter is, not too many people can claim that they have genuinely sued Edison in the past before for a wildfire. So what you want to look for is somebody who has experience handling wildfire cases and who has sued Edison before.
Wow.
Yeah. Damn.
I'm just wondering too, where it's like, with him mentioning, what the right attorney is. It's like, how many cases have you seen, Nareg, where they overpromise and underdeliver?
Yeah, well, it's tough because there are national law firms, big law firms from out of state, that whenever there's a natural disaster, they come in with their private jets, they swamp social media, they put out all the advertisements just to collect massive amounts of inventory of cases for their own balance sheets, basically.
It's a numbers game for them.
It's a numbers game for them. It's a great point. And they promise the world, and they undercut, they lower prices, and they make the local attorneys almost work for free in order to make a living trying to help people deal with these cases, and that's just wrong.
Man, my mind is going crazy. Right
Yeah, I
now,
know.
bro.
I'm
And,
trying to comb through
process
these
it
questions
because it's just those little simple informational like things that you're just giving out right now, bullet points of like what should you be aware of every year, not every decade, like every year, and how you should be on track on things, and who should be in your corner, like who should, like you should know these people, right? Who should be your contractor, who should be your business consultant, attorney, your realtor, like those are people that are gonna either save you or make you more. And if you pick the wrong one,
Yeah.
it costs you so much more.
It can cost you everything.
Yeah, because
Literally
you
your
went
house.
you went to a discounted person, right? If they, damn, you know, I'm just like right now, I'm going through my head those things, and I'm like, wow, those are things that we should be educated in high school. Like, why aren't we educated like that in high school?
Yeah,
Like,
protection, having a good crew of people around you. Because I mean, the reality is this: like I just literally talked about it, where I consider myself now to be a subpar homeowner. I'm over here making sure the trees are trimmed. I'm making sure all these things are done. I'm making sure the quality of the house looks good. But I'm not over here taking pictures of all my assets in the house every year. I'm not over here having a contractor just come to give me a quote for, what would I even say, a rebuild?
Yeah. An estimated replacement cost is what they call it.
Wow. And it's like, here I am thinking I'm good. I got everything in order. I got all my ducks in a row. And then he says,
our social media guy is gonna have a lot of damn clips.
Yeah.
Because this is so powerful right now, and that's something that we can just send it out to our all of our database, and especially social media a lot more. And you know, people just getting the, wait, hold up, I have a question now.
Yeah.
Now you did your job, by the way, by bringing up the concern part, like, hey, you should be aware of this, and if you don't know, let's know. Let's get to know it. Let's get to know that information, and it's so much powerful. I mean, aside from the fire, and aside from what you just talked about, the car accidents, what else should we know as, you know, individuals, you know, human beings right now that we are not aware of?
yeah. And what else can you offer to the people listening who might just be tuning in and think you're only a wildfire attorney, and you just gave us, and you know, they might say, oh, well, he's great, but I don't have a home yet. I'm a renter. And, you know, but they don't even, you know, they're just tuning in and they have no idea how extensive your services are.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I mean, look, even if you're a renter, or even if you were just living in a home that was evacuated in the Altadena, Pasadena areas, you still have a claim. You can enroll into my lawsuit. No out-of-pocket cost to you, simply for the fact that you were put in danger, you were evacuated, you have emotional distress, and you were displaced for several days during the mandatory evacuation period. So even if you didn't lose your home, even if you don't have a home that was damaged partially, we can still help you if you were evacuated in the Altadena, Pasadena areas.
Wow. That's crazy. I want to ask another question here, and it's, you know, how many, like, what is a realistic timeline in your, because a lot of people are probably thinking, well, I'm going to call Nareg and we're going to sue and this is going to get done in 6 months. But the reality is,
That's a
like
great
anything, where it's like, what are the realistic, like, what should somebody come into the table with realistic expectations? Don't just come to you and be like, Nareg, fix my problem and you're going to have it done in a week, because that's totally unrealistic with all the litigious resources that need to go into it, the people that you have to deal with, and all the companies you're going to have to fight. So, you know, this is one of those, it's quality, not quantity, and it seems like it's going to be quality, not expedited, because it's something that's very intricate, right?
Yeah, that's right. You know, they say justice moves slowly.
Yeah, and that's true. Man, that's true.
It is true.
That should be on the T-shirt right now.
Yeah.
You know, but look, there's a lot of maneuvering that attorneys have to make behind the scenes that their clients just never see.
Yeah.
And that's almost a blessing to the clients, because the lawyer doesn't really want to reach out and discuss legal matters with them unless the client really needs to know, because there's a lot to deal with and contend with. But every case in the legal world, okay, if you're filing a lawsuit, your case basically is not going to get resolved until you're close to the trial date. What's the average trial date from the day you file it in Los Angeles until that actual trial date? It's about 18 months.
Wow.
To begin with. So when I file a lawsuit, I get a date at least 18 months out. So you can expect that it's going to take at least that long to resolve the case, because you don't get to go through discovery. You don't get to a mediation until you're holding people's feet to the fire and they're going to have to get to trial. And so people start getting really serious towards the end. Same thing with these mass disaster cases. You can expect the same thing with the fires. In fact, it's probably going to be longer because there are thousands and thousands of cases, and there's going to be a different procedure involved than a normal case that stands alone. Same thing with the landfill cases that we're pursuing. We represent approximately a combined amount of 2,000 individuals that are experiencing damages from the Chiquita landfill in Santa Clarita Valley and the Sunshine Canyon landfill, which is by Granada Hills. And those cases are also going to take time because there are so many claims being pursued that the lawyers are maneuvering behind the scenes. And we get calls all the time from our clients, hey, what's going on with our case? What's going on with my settlement? And we have to be very frank with them. We're always honest that, look, you haven't really heard from us yet lately because we're maneuvering and we're getting organized with the other plaintiffs and the defendants, and we're going to make this an efficient process by coming together and making a plan so that we move forward in unity and try to resolve your cases at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
And so normally, how long would you say that would take?
It's certainly upwards of 2 years and more.
So at least come to the table with a realistic expectation that you'll get justice, but you just got to be patient.
That's right.
Be actively patient with, that it may take up to 2 years.
No. Let me rephrase that. It may take long. It will likely take longer than 2 years on larger cases when you have a catastrophe. We're looking at least at 2 years. So many people. There's a lot more involved. So you're looking at a longer period of time. But nobody should allow themselves to let that hold them back from signing up with a law firm.
Oh, of course.
They should preserve their case, sign up with the law firm immediately so that their names are on the complaint when it's being filed, and let the lawyers do their jobs for you.
I think that's kind of important when we round back off. Nareg's over here saying 2 years is the minimum. It could take way longer than that. And earlier we were talking about, what about the attorneys that promise you the world and under deliver? And it sounds like if you find an attorney who's like, oh yeah, 6 months, you've already found
that's a red flag.
The red flag where it's like, why would this take 6 months? I heard the other day that this kind of stuff is minimum 2 years. So it's like, these are really important things where it's like, how would you know this if we weren't having this discussion? Because sometimes marketing, and especially with business to business marketing, where it's like, I'm the best, you're the best, we're the best. But then it's like, well, how do I know he's the best? He says he's the best. His advertisements are everywhere. His billboards everywhere. When I was peeing in the bathroom, I saw his face in there. So he has to be a trustworthy guy. He's been in the bathroom when I pee. Yeah. So it's like, he
knows me.
Yeah, he knows me. We connect so well. And it's like, the reality is like, if it's like we always say, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
It is.
It's just what it is.
Look, I believe in being sincere with all my clients. I have enough clients that I don't need to say something where it's going to come back to me and hurt me with the trust and the rapport I have with my clients. So I give it straight from the beginning to them, and it's their decision to make.
Yeah, that's a high five, bro.
Amen.
Good shit. Because that people are not taking their time to really help the people. Because of the people, we have a job. Because of the people, we get to feed our families. Because of the people, we get to live our best life. And this is long term, not short term. And that's where, for me, I'm very passionate about giving back to our community, because I come from that community, and we're like, I wish we were some education about it. I'm in my 30s listening to you about this, that I'm literally barely hearing about this now.
Look, we all have to help each other, to varying degrees. We all have the same challenges in life, whether it's one thing or another, but they're magnified depending on your own circumstances. And we all need some help. We all need the right guidance. And unfortunately, meeting the wrong person can really have devastating effects on a person's life. And so getting to that right individual that could guide you in the right place, in the right time, according to what you're going through, is the most important thing when you're in trouble.
We got another question here. It says, another question for Nareg. Do you feel like taking a massive company like Edison to court with the promise of an armada of lawyers to be a daunting task? And if you want more specification,
no,
we can ask
I understand. I understand what they mean. They're basically saying, how can you take on such a huge company that has all the resources in the world? And you're right. Edison, like many Fortune 500 companies, has unlimited wealth.
I think
and
they're
resources.
Fortune 5 now.
Fortune
I don't even
5,
think
you're
they're
probably
Fortune
right.
500. Yeah.
I mean, I checked earlier this week. They have $81.1 billion in assets. This is just Southern California Edison.
Wow.
Not even Edison, its parent company. Okay. So they have all the resources in the world. They have lawyers at their beck and call. And you're right. How do we take them on? This is what contingency fee lawyers do best. It's a David Goliath fight, right? We're the small guy going up against the big guy. And we do this day in, day out when we file a claim against your insurance company for a car accident. It's the same exact situation. They have unlimited resources and can outspend you with lawyers. But at the end of the day, the scales of justice tip in your favor if you're in the right. And I truly believe in that. And in the case against Edison, we've done it before. I've recovered millions of dollars against Edison for my wildfire victims in my past cases. And this is even larger. And so there's going to be a greater recovery for our victims. And the best part is, as a plaintiff's lawyer in my community, as an involved plaintiff's lawyer, I get to lock arms with my other plaintiff lawyer colleagues. And together, we're going to get Edison to pay for all of our clients' damages.
Wow. Damn. David and Goliath.
Bro, this is a great one right here.
Yeah,
number 10, make it big.
Yeah,
you know what I
number 10
mean?
is number 10 for a reason. You know, going into his personal stories and legal wins, I have some questions around that. And if you can share with us, please do. If you can't, we understand. But can you share a memorable case where you really made a difference for a client? Like what, everybody's got their story. Roy has, I'm sure, his biggest real estate story. I have my business stories. And even when I was a banker for 12 years or 10 years, I remember those stories pretty well. I mean, do you have one that you can share, a memorable case, even if it's not a wildfire one, where you're like, man, I really went the distance? Because some of the questions I'm going to ask, let me ask some of these questions. They might actually tie in together, right? So one of the questions I was going to ask is, can you share a memorable case where you really made a difference for a client? The other question I was going to ask you is, have you ever had a case where you worked for years without getting paid because of how contingency fees work? And how do you handle the emotional side of these situations with somebody who's lost everything and they're probably very sensitive and, lack of a better word, just sensitive is the right word. They're just very sensitive to everything because of the loss that they just accrued.
Yeah, great questions, Art. So let me answer your second question first. Look, all of the people that I deal with that are my clients, they've been hurt one way or the other.
Yeah.
Whether they've lost their house and all of their belongings, or they've suffered a traumatic injury in some type of an accident because of somebody else's actions, right? So we are dealing with this for a prolonged period of time. Contingency fee cases take at least 2 years, like we just discussed. So yes, we work for all that time without making any money, and we have to be able to withstand that. So you need to go to a lawyer that can withstand that kind of pressure financially, because they're also paying for your case.
Right.
To go back to your first question, where I really made a difference, that's a really tough question, because honestly, all the cases that I have, my finger is on the pulse of every single one of those cases. I don't have an army of case managers. We're a boutique law firm. And so if you're my client, you get to me. I'm accessible to you. You have questions, you get to call me, and I'm going to be there for you and do my best to answer your question. So all my cases, people are injured, right? They need help. One particular instance I could tell you, and I didn't even know this at the time, but I had this one guy. He was involved in a car accident, and it was like a double whammy. He got hit from behind, and then his car went to the front. So he got hit twice, right? It's like coup contra coup, right? Your head goes front and back. And so this case had multiple layers of insurance to go through because it involved a city entity that hit him, and then there was another car in front of him that was a private individual, and then the insurance wasn't enough, so we went to his insurance. So there was like 3 levels of policies to go through, which we did, but it took a lot of time. And this guy was traveling around. I would talk to him every few weeks or every few months. Whenever he went from one place to another, he would call me, check in, and say, hey, Nareg, I moved, but look, I'm still here. I did all my treatment. I'll check in with you when I get to my next known address.
Yeah.
I didn't really know much about him, except that once I filed and once I resolved his case, I found that this guy was a celebrity. He was involved in the Fast and Furious franchise, and he was like a big time guy. He had like a
wow.
cult following, and he basically told me I changed his life. He was at a point where the money that I made for him on this case allowed him to get his life back in order, and he actually wrote a review on my website about it. So, you know, I didn't even know. I treated him like he was just your regular person that I was dealing with, and lo and behold, this guy was a struggling celebrity whose life I was able to help in that manner by resolving this case successfully. That's just one small example.
Damn, you treat everyone the same, regardless if it's you know, zero money in their bank account and $1 million in their bank account. You treat them. That's, again, you're hitting all my boxes, right?
You know,
but because that person wrote a review, can you disclose his name right now?
no, I think.
Well, they wrote a review.
But hold on.
I'm just saying.
I think if you want to know who wrote that review, go check out Nareg's website.
Dude, I'm about to go right now.
I think if you want to know who that celebrity was, I want everybody to go Google Kitsinian Law Firm in LA, and because he deserves the notoriety and recognition. So if you really want to know who it is, then you should look him up.
And I gotta say that this guy was one of the most down to earth people like I had as a client, because he was so sincere about his situation and what he was going through that I always wanted to be there for him. And I'm glad I did, because we still keep in touch, and he's a great guy.
That's great. And I can speak personally, Roy. I want to just say one more thing. I can speak personally to Nareg being a relationship first attorney, because he's represented me in a few cases, and even though they took years, which I knew that was the expectation, and I asked him straight up, I was like, hey, what is this going to take? And honestly, I can't speak highly. Every person that I've ever had any situation come up, if I call Nareg, I'm like, I don't know if you can do this, but if you can, please reach out to this person. And he'll either say, I do that, or I don't do that. But, you know, anybody listening, if you're looking for a seal of approval from somebody who's actually worked with him, I have worked with him, and I wouldn't change a thing. It was the easiest experience I've ever had dealing with an attorney.
Thank you for your trust, Art.
And just me going based on, I've not worked with you, but the feeling I have, I'm very, when I talk about conscious, you know, I feel the moment. I feel that your good heart. Like, I do, guys. Like, a straight out, I do feel a good heart out of you when you're speaking right now, and the genuine conversation we're having right now. Like, I know you're good people. So I just want to make sure I tell you that right now. Because
Thank you.
Even though, you know, I've not worked with you, this is the first time I'm meeting you, seeing you, talking to you. And for me, I feel like I already known you for years. So I appreciate you.
I felt
for
that way too when I met him too. That's really funny that you say that. So the question that was asked to you about the armada of lawyers, it looks like that was a follow-up. He said, do you typically see underhanded tactics utilized by these large conglomerates? I'm sure that's he's laughing.
That's their playbook. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're there to work you to the bone. They are there to wait you out. I'll give you an example. We represent several clients in the Johnson & Johnson talc or baby powder
Oh, that's
litigation.
still going on?
Can you believe it?
Jesus.
So I started my law firm in 2013. Some of the first cases I got involved in were those. So I signed up clients in 2015. It's 10 years now. So you're talking about 2 years, right? We're in lawsuits over 10 years now.
Wow.
And here's what's happening. Johnson & Johnson refuses to accept liability that baby powder was causing ovarian cancer in women. Well, I'll tell you something, Johnson & Johnson. 2 of my clients have died waiting for you to accept responsibility. Waiting for you to accept responsibility that your products killed them. And this is what they do. Okay, so to answer your question, yes, they do bad faith tactics. Johnson & Johnson is among, again, like Edison, one of the largest corporations in the world. And they continue to do what's called the Texas 3-step. Listen to this. Can you believe a company like Johnson & Johnson is declaring that they can't afford to pay these lawsuits? They've declared bankruptcy. I think it's now 4 times.
Wow.
They keep getting overturned because the judge says, no, Johnson & Johnson, you really can't do a spin-off and put your assets and your lawsuit liabilities into a separate entity and claim you're now insolvent. We don't buy that. But in Texas, there's a loophole, and they keep trying to test it. Now imagine if they're able to get away with this, every single corporate tortfeasor is going to be doing this bankruptcy in order to avoid liability. So yes, they do bad faith tactics. Absolutely.
Wow. You didn't even know about that, huh? That's an old lawsuit, dude. That was back when Johnson & Johnson was getting caught with like metal in their baby oil and talc powder, and this was causing cancer, and that was causing
I'll tell you this, though, right? Lawyers like me, what we do makes a difference. Even though we have not been successful yet in getting Johnson & Johnson to pay, Johnson & Johnson pulled baby powder off the shelves in the United States.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, just 2 years ago.
I wasn't even a dad yet,
Right.
but I remember. Oh, no, I was a dad. When they
Yeah.
pulled it, I remember that. I remember this case before I was a dad, but I remember when they finally had
They sell it abroad, but not in the United States anymore. So
Yep.
at least we're protecting the public and getting them to do some actions.
Yeah,
here.
they're saying cancer's good everywhere else, just not in the U.S., I guess, is what they're saying. Well, before we wrap this up, Nareg, we really do appreciate, everything that you've taken time to come talk to us today about. And honestly, this is a gem. Like, all of them are gems, but this is like we found a diamond where we usually find like
The
a
needle in the
ruby.
haystack right
Yeah.
here, bro. Like that to me is so wild right now.
He says they don't take the blame, but they changed their formula in 2020 to exclude talc.
Yeah.
whoever's in it.
It's cornstarch
hey,
now that they're selling, basically.
Yeah.
That to me is mind blowing, and that's why I always encourage everyone, learn, get educated, find the right people in your life that can help you navigate to point you to the right people, right? So that way you as an individual and your family feel more secure, more confident, and have someone in your back. And I'm truly grateful that we got to sit down and talk about this. Listen to you right now when you were speaking about the Johnson & Johnson victims. I felt that passion that came out that you're just that bothered. And guys, I'm telling you, you're for real. So yeah, God is gonna be great. God is great.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Art, for having me here.
Yeah, no, of course. And before we wrap this up, the most important, where can our listeners find you if they need legal advice? So, we talked about all these great things.
Share my location.
Share my location app. Where do we find you?
Yeah, so my office is located in Encino, California. My phone number is 818-786-5777. And you could find my website at kitsinianlaw.com.
Awesome.
3 7s.
3 7s.
That's good luck.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to thank Nareg for coming all the way from LA to be here. Honestly, I think Roy's probably going to be adding that yearly thing to his buyer's consultation, right?
I'm going to ask him for his picture because I want to put him on my presentation.
Oh, yeah. Well, when the cameras go off, you guys can talk about that. But
that's my point. It's like bringing someone in. I don't need to know it all. I don't need to do it all. I don't need to have it all. I just know someone that can help you with that.
Happy to help you, man.
Oh, appreciate
That's
you,
awesome.
man.
Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is episode 10. We appreciate everybody, and we will see you on the next one. I think on the next one, let's try to get an insurance guy to come out to piggyback off this because we got some gems from the legal side, but let's hear what the insurance side has to say.
Will do.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Parents and Pennies. We hope you found our tips and insights helpful. Remember, it's not about how much you have, it's about making the most of what you've got. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other parents who could use a little financial guidance. Join us next week for more real stories, advice, and the financial wisdom you need to keep your family thriving. Until then, keep making those pennies count.